welcome to the second Minamata Online session, season 4, which is about the International Conference on Mercury as a Global Pollutant, ICMGP. Before opening, my name is Isaac Toda. I'm from the Secretariat of the Minamata Convention based in Geneva. And I'm happy to moderate this session together with Joy, co-chair of ICMGP, but Joy informed me that she may be late. So, but I'm sure that she'll be here for moderating the discussion session. So, before opening, I think I will give you some, provide some housekeeping note. I think I'm sharing my screen. So this session will be opened by Monica Stankiewicz, the Executive Secretary of the Minamata Convention, and speakers. We have speakers from the Internet ICMGP, the two co-chairs, Joylina and Linville Martin, and also the Celia Chen is as the coordinating author of the synthesis papers from the last ICMGP online meeting. And Bianca Dlamini from Eswatini is speaking about the Global Market Partnership as the co-chair of the advisory group. As I said, this is the second of the Minamata Online season 4, which will be preceded by next week Mercury products session and also the financial mechanism session. If you have, I think you will find the chat box on the screen, and if you have any question, please put your questions or comments in the chat. We are not sure whether we can have a session to allow the speaker from the floor, but if you have any question, please use chat box. And also, please note that this session is going to be recorded, and the recording and the presentations will be made available on the Minamata Convention website. So, with this, I'd like to hand over to Monica for opening remarks.
Thank you so much, Eisaku, and good day, all colleagues joining us for this Minamata Online session. I'm very delighted to really open the discussion and the presentations today, and very happy to have two co-chairs of the international conference, and Celia, who has been so instrumental in providing and coordinating the work on synthesis papers, and Bianca from Global Mercury Partnerships. Excellent, you are here with us. And I would like to start by congratulating the entire community, scientific community, for really, and especially organizers, for soon having the 16th meeting of the International Conference on Mercury as the Global Pollutant. This has been somewhat longer journey than normally. I recall there was even an online session of it actually held not too long time ago, but I'm really pleased that this conference actually becoming a reality, and that it is being hosted in Africa. It's for the first time in the Global South, and something that of course we are all aware of, but I would like to highlight again. And we definitely need also the science from the South, just if not for many other reasons, it's just for the reason also that the environment in the North and the South are different, and Mercury is circulating in the environment not exactly the same way. And as I myself learned through synthesis paper, there is a lot of useful and important research coming also from the Global South that gives us or sheds more light on really the Mercury cycle and what are the important considerations, including within the policy processes. And you are also all aware that actually the conference is an older brother or sister of the Minamata Convention. It started already in 1990, before the convention was created and entered into force. And really, we will be forever grateful for all the work done before really the convention, because it did enable and gave confidence to the global community to enter into negotiating a new instrument. I know the conference and the scientists involved were also bringing the science, but also attending, participating in the negotiation committee meetings before the convention was adopted. But also we continue to rely on the science and input from the conference during our meeting of the Conference of the Parties. So it's a great contribution in the past, but also we do expect a great contribution in the future as well. Just to give an example, during the last meeting of the Conference of the Parties, we had one decision related to capacity building and technical assistance and technology transfer, where we were also mandated to look for information knowledge from the international conference to come up with a desk study and some case studies, so we can bring more information about the needs in this area to the Conference of the Parties next time. We also have, as you may know, the very important process to assess effectiveness of the convention, which to a great extent relies on scientific information. So it's another area where we do collaborate, we'll continue collaborating. And also more broadly, Minamata Convention have very strong links with climate change and with biodiversity. And working together, we can also bring more information about those links and specific information, and to motivate and to provide the necessary information for policymakers to work on some synergies where they make sense also when taking action to address these different environmental problems. But I would like to end by simply saying that I'm really looking forward to the conference. I hope we will have, and I'm sure we'll have a great time there, very useful. I'm honored to be invited to deliver opening remarks, and the Secretariat has been invited and has been engaged in organization, also in terms of the program, as we want to create as many connections to our convention processes as possible. We will also have used this opportunity. We'll have a back-to-back smaller meeting on emissions and releases of mercury. So we really try to make best possible use of the conference. And with that, I think I will finish, and I wish everyone to have a fruitful session today, and I will tune in a little bit more from the background, but I would say now over to you, Eisaku, and thank you again, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. And as you emphasized, this is really about the interaction between scientific community and policy community. So today's session has been structured around the interaction between the different communities. So the first speaker will speak about the ICMGP, the plan for the meeting, and then Celia will speak about the input from science to policy in the form of the synthesis papers, and then we will invite the global market partnership as a broader partnership, not only policy communities but the business industry and civil society and so on. And then I will speak about science, the policy side. Therefore, I would like to invite first speaker, Lin Will, the co-chair of ICMGP, to speak about the plan for the ICMGP, and I'm going to share the screen. Lin Will, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Isaku, and good afternoon and good morning to everybody from way over the globe you are watching. I just also want to uh, highlight what Monica just mentioned now that for us as the local organizing committee of ICMGP 2004, 2024, myself, Dr. Joy Lena, and Professor Werner Somerset, it's definitely been an interesting and very long journey for us with all that's been happening. So we are really excited to welcome everybody to the upcoming conference in Cape Town. Well, the ICMGB, the 16th edition, will take place from the 21st till the 26th of July in Cape Town. And the theme of this year's conference is From Minamata to Africa and Beyond, addressing Mercury challenges in global environment change. I'm just going to quickly run through the program and just highlight some of the key things which you, if you are, that you will be, that awaits everybody that will come to Cape Town. And hopefully through the short presentation for those of you who have not registered yet, I will definitely hope that through this presentation you will also maybe think of joining us in Cape Town. Next slide, please. So today or a few moments ago, I just visited the website and just to see. So we're about 79 days to go, probably about now 9 hours and some minutes. So yeah, we are really looking forward to welcoming everybody. A lot has been happening, and we will definitely in the next week or so. You can visit the website. We will have definitely more information, especially concerning the program and some of the speakers, as we will definitely now be marketing some of the highlights that people can be looking out for during the week. Next slide. So, in a nutshell, this is how the program will look. This is still a draft program. As I've mentioned, we'll definitely have the latest program on the website in next week. So, as you can see, every day, starting from the Sunday, from the workshops until the Friday, we're definitely going to be busy. As this is the first time we're seeing each other face to face since the 2019 conference in Krakow. So, we've definitely put together a jam-packed program which hopefully everybody will enjoy. Next slide. So on the Monday morning, we'll start with plenary one, and this will basically focus on the conference theme. And this plenary is coordinated by Rico Euripides from Groundworks. It's an NGO in South Africa. And as part of his session, he will have members on his panel that will be from the Zero Mercury Working Group, from CLASP, and as well as the focal point from Uganda and Akufiro. And the focus of this session will basically be the ongoing science policy gaps and in emerging mercury issues of global concern, and how we as the scientific community can add value and also maybe try and see if we can't address some of the challenges that countries are currently facing. Next slide. Plenary two, also on the Monday afternoon. It's going to be more on policy, and it will focus on the effectiveness evaluation and especially the work that the open-ended scientific group, or as we call it in short, the OSG, has been doing since the OSG was established, I think about 3 years ago. The session is coordinated by Professor Celia Chen, and members that will form part of her panel is one of the OSG coaches, Dominic Bally. The other co-chair is Terry Keating from the USA. And as part of the panel, they will focus on the different aspects for what the OSCG is looking at for. We've got different groups on air, biota, human, and other matrices. So we will address all of these different matrices where we've got Sandy Stephan, will speak on air, biota. We got human health, where Melina will touch on, and also other matrices. And then also lastly, we will also look at the data repository that is becoming important now at the stage where we are now. Next slide. So Tuesday morning, we will shift our focus to ASGM, and specifically ASGM in Africa. So the session is coordinated by Professor Nelly Mutumeri from Wits University in South Africa. They will focus on key aspects from the 2022 paper that was published as part of the synthesis papers output, and also look at key aspects in going forward. As part of her panels, you will have Anna Kafiro from Uganda, Poncho Tualu from the mining engineering department at WITS, and also Anne Mufamadi, who is the head of operations for artisanal and small-scale mining at Mintech, as well as Malgarsu Stylo from UNEP. So this session will specifically focus on ASGM, as especially in Africa and in South America. We definitely have severe challenges when it comes to this. Next slide. So plenary 4 is the Wednesday. Wednesday will be the short day. So this will focus on the next generation. So at this plenary, we will have 3 young up-and-coming speakers. The next generation plenary is basically there to identify the next generation of Mercury researchers. And after we've gone through a process of inviting several candidates to try to present at the next gen, the next generation committee decided that the 3 speakers at this session will be Jacqueline Gerson. She will focus also on ASGM. Milling Lee will focus on health and health application and exposure. And then Ari Freiberg, who's got expertise in phaeton transport and modeling. So we see these 3 speakers as the future trendsetters when it comes to the next generation of Mercury researchers. Next slide. Plenary 5 is coordinated by David Evers from BRI, and it will focus on Mercury and biodiversity, which is also one of the hot topics, I would say, also with the other convention, this CBD convention, the Montreal Kunming Convention, that is also focused strongly on biodiversity. So we thought it would be a good topic, new up and coming, and that we will focus on. So Dave will have speakers from the Center of the Amazon Scientific Innovation, the Nature Conservancy, UNEP, as well as speakers from the Minamata Convention that will form part of his panel. Next slide. Plenary 6, that will be on the Friday, will be more focused on the industry, and it will focus on Mercury in the energy sectors. It's coordinated by Leslie Schloss. And here we will have speakers from Eskom, which is the electricity company in South Africa, as well as Sasol. Both of these companies still have coal-fired power plants that are within their operations. But over the last 10 to 15 years, they've also done a lot of R&D work in terms to where the focus was on Mercury. And we are looking forward where they will come and present some of the highlights of some of these projects which they have implemented within the plants. Next slide. So on the Sunday, the 21st of July, as is the norm, we will have the workshops. So the workshop for this conference is coordinated by Joint Lena and Eric Urim. And so we will have 3 workshops that will take place in the morning session. And then in the afternoon, we will also have 4 workshops that will take place in the afternoon. There is a fee associated with this, is $25. But we've also given delegates the opportunity that when they do register, they can also tick the box in terms of wanting to attend the workshop. So invoice can then be one invoice can then be generated if you want to attend the workshop as well. In the morning session, we've got a workshop that was submitted by Mixato that will focus on strengthening research capacity building. Then David Hunter from Petrec, they will be more focused on the industry. Then we've got a workshop that will focus on air monitoring and goals achieved in the Minamata Convention in the afternoon. Session on perspective of mercury compounds and demethylation, as well as mercury characterization in aquatic sediments. We've got another monitoring workshop that will focus on biomonitoring, and then a workshop specifically focus on mercury policy, understanding the developments that has been happening within South Africa over the last few years since we've done the MIA. So please also register for this. Next slide. Then as part of the normal scientific program, we also have some special sessions, and I'm just going to highlight a few. We've got a session that will take place on the Tuesday morning that will focus on mercury research in the Southern Hemisphere towards a greater integration into the global context. Just highlighting again what Monica also said in her opening address, the importance of also having representation or work presented on work from the Southern Hemisphere. We also will have the Minamata storyteller that will take place on Tuesday. And then another special session Thursday morning will be on mercury pollution in Asia. For the industry, people that are interested in industry, we will have the impact of mercury across the oil and gas and value chain. That will happen on the Wednesday morning. Then Friday, some of the newer, latest topics, advances in statistical machine learning and process-based models for global mercury cycling for the modeling. And then Tuesday afternoon, also new methods for atmospheric mercury measurements and calibration. And then also some of the new happenings in terms of the policy with what has been happening lately in terms of the SPP, the scientific panel, and this session will also focus on what does the ICGMP community needs to know and how we can contribute into this whole process with these three key aspects that has been highlighted. So as you can see, lots of things to do besides this. We also got a social program. We've got events happening on the Monday evening, Tuesday evening, and then the Thursday evening will be the grand party. We will have the gala dinner. So definitely lots to look out for, lots of time to work and to network, but also lots of time just to relax and just have a drink with some new people that you've met. Next slide. So yeah, so in conclusion, I just want to invite everybody to come to Cape Town. It will be the first time that the ICMGP will take place on the African continent. So get ready. We will have 6 plenary talks, 4 parallel sessions every day with around 260 orals for the week. 160 posted will be presented throughout the week. So yeah, please come spread the news. You can visit the website at mercurycapetown.com and register. If you still want to present something, unfortunately, the oral program has already been closed and finalized. But if you want to present a poster, there's definitely still place for people to present a poster. Thank you, Isaku.
Thank you, Neville. And we really look forward to meeting us all in Cape Town. And I see the question in the chat from Joshua Olowoyo. Can colleagues still join the meeting? And I think Lin will responded to this question. So we look forward to meeting many people in Cape Town. So and then I would like to invite the next speaker, Celia Chen, who is going to speak about the synthesis paper, scientific input to the policy community. And I think I have to switch to the next slide deck.
Thank you, Isaku, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me come and talk to you about the efforts over the years and what was happening presently in terms of bringing science, mercury science, to policy. We've been, many of us who are in the science realm of mercury have been involved in bringing mercury science to policy over the years, even before the establishment of the Minamata Convention. Next slide. And I think the reason that we have been is that we've had these objectives to bring the current scientific understanding to international decision making. What I say is always where the rubber meets the road. All of our science is really, especially around mercury, to try to understand mercury cycling and bioaccumulation and effects in order to help the policy community help make change and make decisions. We also, in our efforts to bring science to the Minamata Convention, have been trying to engage technical experts in learning about the science needed to implement the treaty. And so it's been an attempt to have a dialogue back and forth between policy and scientists in order for the policymakers to let scientists know what is needed in order to make policy around mercury. And then finally, the syntheses have provided the mercury science community with a current review of the literature on fate, transport, and the effects of mercury. And these papers that have been published as part of these efforts really have, I think, provided the scientific community an update, for instance, on areas that some of us are not exactly our scholarship is not involved in. For instance, I am not an atmospheric chemist, but I certainly have found the synthesis papers on atmospheric transport to be very useful to someone like me. So it is a communication of the science across the different media and compartments for the scientific community. Next slide. So these are just illustrations of what we have been doing over the last 14 years. And a number of us have been involved in leading the synthesis efforts to bring mercury science to policy, as I said before. Most recently, on the right side, on the right panel, is the special issue that was put together in association with the last ICMGP, but really was focused on the topic of the Southern Hemisphere, where we will finally be meeting in this next ICMGP. But we really started our efforts way back in 2010, and I'll go through each of these efforts. We had an effort in 2012 that came out, 2018, as well as the most recent synthesis effort. So let me just give you a little bit of a description of what each of these has been over time, and then finally we'll talk more in detail about the last synthesis. Next slide, please. So the first one we did years ago in 2010, we convened a workshop, and this synthesis effort was really focused on coastal and marine ecosystems. There was a sense at that time that while there was a lot of work having been done on freshwater, less had been featured in terms of coastal and marine systems. We gathered 70 scientists and policy experts from around the world, and we gathered them in the US. And the ultimate culmination of the synthesis effort was 11 peer-reviewed papers that were published in the scientific journal Environmental Research. And we actually had, following that, briefings in Washington, D.C. with the US EPA, with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the US State Department, as well as some congressional delegations in the US. In 2013, we brought this report, which is shown on the right, Sources to Seafood, which was a summary of the synthesis papers. We brought it to the 5th INC, the International Negotiating Conference of the Mercury Treaty. So this was pre-Minamata Convention, but a lot of scientists were involved in trying to synthesize that research on coastal and marine ecosystems at that time. I should say that most of these efforts would not probably have happened, except that we had at Dartmouth College a former toxic metals program, which hosted a number of these science and policy efforts, and that was funded by the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences of the National Institutes of Health in the US. So now I'm going to talk more about what else happened with that. Next slide, please. So then our next effort really was in the 2018 synthesis papers, which are still, I think, extremely relevant, and I encourage all of you to look at those. These were a special issue published in the journal Ambio. They were on 4 different topics: global sources and cycling, a paper led by Daniel Obrist. The next one was on local sources and fate, led by our colleague Helen Soo Kim, and another paper on exposures and effects in humans and wildlife, led by Colin Eagle Smith, and finally a paper that was targeted to the link between science to policy, led by Noelle Celine. And then finally, in that same year, we published a policy forum paper in environmental science and technology with all of the leads of these synthesis papers. And so those are still obviously available. And if anyone has any difficulty in obtaining them, please let me know. But we were able to take those papers. Well, first, next slide, please. We actually held a Mercury synthesis workshop. This was in association with the ICMGP of 2017. That was an ICMGP that my colleague Charles Driscoll at Syracuse University and I co-chaired that meeting, and we were able to organize the Mercury synthesis workshop on the day before the ICMGP started, and in that we were able to bring together government and academic scientists, NGOs, and policymakers from UNEP, and to talk about the synthesis, the 4 papers that were written, but also to figure out with the policy community, how would we best communicate the findings of the syntheses to the delegates at the Minamata Convention meetings. And so at that meeting, we determined that we would best be able to convey the 4 synthesis papers through 2-page fact sheets. And those are shown on the edges of this slide, 1 per paper. And we were encouraged to make them no longer than 2 pages, and that would be the right length, hopefully, that people could engage with the science. And so that is what we decided to do. And next slide, please. And so then we were able to take those fact sheets and translate them into the 5 UN languages and bring them to the COP1, the first conference of parties of the Minamata Convention. Okay, so finally, in the next slide, I'd like to talk about the most recent synthesis effort, which was the 2023 ICMGP synthesis. And this was in association with the 2022 ICMGP, which was ended up being online. The current executive committee worked on that meeting as well. We are so grateful. It was a huge effort, and we were able to still run the synthesis in association with it. But now the papers are out and available for this ICMGP. It came out in Ambio again, and I should say we published in Ambio because a very early synthesis of mercury science back in 2006 by the ICMGP scientists came out first in Ambio. So in that tradition, we have been publishing in Ambio ever since. And this set of papers, first by Susan Keene, led by Susan Keene, some of that topic will be featured at this next ICMGP by Jerome Sonke on global change effects, Neil Basu, paper that he led was on human effects and studies that have been done on human populations and mercury. And then the last two papers by Larissa Schneider and Jenny Fisher were really to synthesize what we know about mercury research in the Southern Hemisphere. So let me quickly go through each of these so that you have a little introduction to those papers. Next slide, please. So the first that I'm featuring here is the one by Jeroen Sonke, which actually, as I mentioned, really tackles the very important issues around the interactions of global change with the physical, biogeochemical, and ecological processes that control mercury cycling. It discusses atmospheric mercury transport and deposition processes that are sensitive to both meteorology and biome shifts associated with climate change. And they predict that an additional twofold decrease in emissions under the Minamata Convention would be distinguishable from the effects of climate change at regional and global scales, but potentially not at local scale. So I encourage you to read that paper more in detail. There are many wonderful graphics and really important findings in that paper. Next slide. The next one I would like to mention is the one on ASGM, and this was led by, as I mentioned earlier, Susan Keene. This paper presents an overview of effort to refine estimates of mercury use in ASGM and review and assess the technologies that can be used to phase out mercury use while increasing gold recovery rates. This paper has also a lot of information. I've just shown you a few slides of the figures, which I won't go into, but to entice you to look directly at the paper. The paper concludes with a discussion of the practical, social, and economic barriers to adoption of these new technologies and recommends a whole list of steps to overcome them. Okay, the next slide, please. This paper on an evolved understanding of the human health risks of mercury, led by Neil Basu, details how our scientific understanding has evolved over time in terms of effects on human health, from the tragic poisonings, even in the mid-20th century, to important epidemiological studies in the late 20th century through the studies on the Seychelles and the Faroe Islands, as well as other studies on the Arctic and the Amazon. So entering the 21st century, the studies on diverse source exposure scenarios, all kinds like ASGM, amalgam, contaminated sites, cosmetics, electronic waste, from across a whole range of global regions, from the tropics to small island states. They have really expanded our understandings of what the human health risks of mercury exposure are. But the studies have also identified the need to consider socio-environmental variables and local contexts when conducting these health studies. And so the authors conclude with perspectives on how the next steps for mercury health research in the post-Minamata Convention era, or I should say the post-initial Minamata Convention era has started. And so I also encourage you to as well read this paper for what we should be thinking about when we talk about human studies and the science on human health risks. And then the next slide is about the first paper that is about the Southern Hemisphere. This was led by Larissa Schneider and has the actual focus on natural processes. It identifies major gaps in the knowledge about mercury fate in the biomes specifically present in the Southern Hemisphere relative to the Northern Hemisphere. As many of you may know, most of the research that has been done has been in the Northern Hemisphere, and really to try to make estimates of cycling and transport in the Southern Hemisphere from those studies is really not adequate. And so it includes properties, content, and storage of mercury in soils, pools of mercury working from terrestrial to aquatic environments, and mercury in remote background sites in aquatic ecosystems and tropical forests in Africa and Southeast Asia. The paper really tries to identify the gaps in mercury science that point out the need for local research in the global south. And then finally, the last slide on the last synthesis paper was led by Jenny Fisher, and this was about the comparison of the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere in terms of the anthropogenic perturbations, and looks at historical production of mercury, fire and deforestation, which is very particular to countries in the global south, and also the significant mercury emission sources in the global south. In this case, the authors point out that the lack of long-term monitoring of mercury in the southern hemisphere will make it difficult to evaluate the effectiveness of the convention globally. So thanks for listening. And last slide, I just want to make sure that I definitely tell you that these efforts, these synthesis efforts really could not have been done without the support of the former Dartmouth Toxic Metals Program, our funders at the National Institute of Health, and all of these other funding sources for the synthesis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Celia. And just to remind all of you that we had the Minamata Online sessions for each of these papers, inviting the key authors, and the recordings are available on the web. So since we are a bit of behind time, I think I will jump to the next presentation from Bianca Dramini, the co-chair of the Global Mercury Partnership at the Advisory Group, who's going to speak about the effort, the partnership effort. Bianca, you're over to you. Bianca, do you? I'm going to just share the screen.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I hear you. Okay,
thank you. As already introduced, my name is Bianca Dlamini from Eswatini. I have been working with the Eswatini Environment Authority for almost 14 years now, and I've been working mainly on the desk related to mercury issues. And today, I'll be presenting on behalf of the Global Mercury Partnership that I am co-chair to since the beginning of the year. So basically, I will give just a brief presentation on the work of the Global Mercury Partnership. And just as an introduction, the Global Mercury Partnership is a multi-stakeholder platform that was initiated in 2005 by a decision of the UN Environment Governing Council. And basically, the partnership provides the necessary information to support the implementation of the Minamata Convention. It works on issues of capacity building for countries and officers working on the mercury issues, and also to raise the necessary awareness to support negotiations and also the implementation of the Minamata Convention. So basically, the Global Mercury Partnership support implementation of the Minamata Convention by providing knowledge and science on mercury, and also on works on issues of awareness raising. The partnership is consisted of about over 250 partners coming from governments, intergovernmental organizations, non-governmental organization, industry, and academia, and the scientific community at large. So there are 8 partnership areas that we have, and we have partnership areas, partners for working on artisanal and small scale gold mining, mercury, cell chloralkali production, mercury in air transport and freight research, mercury in products, mercury releases from coal combustions, mercury waste management, mercury supply and storage, and mercury releases from the cement industry. So currently there are 8 partnership areas. Next slide, please. So the main attributes of the global mercury partnerships are that we engage in constructive engagements within the sectors that we operate in. It also serves as an intersection of industry, academia, civil society, government, IGOs, and the main focus is on the implementation of the Minamata Convention. The GMP is also involved in the development of new knowledge and science on emerging sectors on mercury. One of the key attributes is that the partnership with the partners that we have, we are able to go beyond the convention in terms of the scope and dialogue. We are both a source and seeker of information for interested researchers, and we provide opportunities for cross-fertilization in terms of information and knowledge. Next slide, please. So some of the areas that we are currently present in terms of supporting effective implementation of the Minamata Convention at national level include the development of the Minamata initial assessments, or mercury initial assessments, and national action plans. And we have partners working with countries on that subject matter. And then we are also involved on other projects, which are mainly funded by GEF. For instance, projects on skin lightening cosmetics that contain mercury, dental amalgam, medical devices. We're also involved in the knowledge generation on cross-cutting subjects such as oil and gas, non-ferrous, mining, ASGM, issues around custom codes, guidance for tracking mercury-containing products. Are also involved in a lot of webinar series where we raise awareness on mercury. Next slide, please. Okay, and then we have knowledge sharing and awareness raising events, and some of the examples are like the meetings of partnership areas on mercury, air transport and freight, which was held in October 23, mercury in cosmetics, which also took place in October 2023. And then the first meeting on eliminating mercury in skin lightening products, which happened in 2023, November. And then the phasing down of dental amalgam and managing its associated waste from knowledge to action, which took place in December 2023. And we've also been involved in mercury from non-ferrous metal mining and smelting recently to March 2024, and many other knowledge sharing and awareness raising meetings and events that we've hosted and we continue to host. Next slide. So the partnership would normally have yearly gatherings to exchange on recent activities and priorities for future work on cross-cutting activities, where we share recent progress from partnership areas and the Minamata Secretariat and other intergovernmental organizations. We also take stock of the latest decisions, including from the COPs and related priorities for future work. And then we discuss on cross-cutting topics and brainstorm on what could be the next steps. We also coordinate engagements for international science policy meetings, for instance, the upcoming International Conference on Mercury as a Global Pollutant. Next slide, please. We also have communication platforms, websites. We also do newsletters. We also communicate through emails on the activities of the Global Mercury Partnership. I think if you may want to see some of our work, you may be able to visit our website, as you can see from the slide. Next slide, please. So the potential areas that are currently available include issues around cement, and more specifically, it would be the development of more accurate inventories, and then improved measurement techniques and technologies in the cement production industry, and also improving awareness of mitigation approaches for further awareness. And then on oil and gas and non-ferrous mining, it would be the accurately identification of industry trends and practices, and identifying available monitoring technologies for real-time detection of mercury releases from the decommissioning of offshore platforms. There's also a potential in the area of mercury and biodiversity. Next slide, please. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think if you should require more information on this platform, you are welcome to contact the Secretariat of the Global Mercury Partnership. And also, we also encourage that more people and more organizations join the Global Mercury Partnerships. And if you're so interested, you may also contact the Secretariat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bianca. And I see, I saw the name of Roger Sankra, the other co-chair of the Partnership Advisory Group, and I just changed him as and brought him into the panelist. So Rogers, if you wish to say a few words, you can. I think you can open the microphone.
Actually, nothing additional from mine. I think Bianca very expertly covered all the items of interest to people on the Global Mercury Partnership. So no, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Rogers. And I'm mindful of the time. We only have 6 minutes, and we have another presentation from me. So if you can just stay for 10 minutes longer. until 3 is European time, it would be great. And of course, all of you are busy, so if you need to leave, the recording will be made available on the website. So I think I will jump into my presentation, which is about the science, what science means to the Minamata Convention. I think I will share my screen. Second. So I think I will talk about 4 main points. The first one is that the Minamata Convention has been developed with the scientific knowledge, and science plays a central role in the development of the Minamata Convention. And the next 3 points, this is how the convention addresses science in terms of the parties' obligation and the task of the conference of the parties, and especially in the effectiveness evaluation. The third point is about the institutional framework and the number of scientific bodies under the Minamata Convention. And lastly, I like to talk about the Mercury science in the context of the triple planetary crisis. So the first point, the Minamata Convention starts with a preamble, which says that the parties to the convention recognize that the Mercury's chemical global concern based on the scientific knowledge, and that common understanding grew with the very close science policy interface, including the development of the UNEP Global Mercury Assessment and other very important scientific publications. Okay, then the second point, how the Minamata Convention addresses science. Firstly, the parties have obligation on science-based actions, and I'm not going into each of them, but for products, manufacturing processes, other than small-scale gold mining, HGM, emission releases, and interim storage, waste management, and contaminated site. There are provisions about the looking into science and using scientific guidance and so on. And also the Article 16 talks about the public health and the importance of health science. Article 19 is exclusively about the science, research, development, and monitoring. And there are the Article 19 lists up areas of scientific actions that parties are expected to take: the development of inventories and work on modeling, assessments of the impact of mercury on health and so on, and harmonized methodologies, information on the environmental cycle, including the trade and transport, and the information on commerce and trade, and the alternatives to mercury products and mercury using processes, best available techniques, and best environment practices. We call it BAT and BEP. And so these are the areas where the Minamata Convention addresses explicitly as an area for scientific research, development, and monitoring. The Conference of the Parties have relied on the scientific knowledge and also provide scientific guidance. For example, the COP5 last year agreed on the amendment of Annex A and agreed to phase out all the fluorescent lamps, all the mercury batteries, all the mercury switches by ED 2025, 26 or 27. And that decision is based on the scientific technical knowledge about the alternatives and also the health and environmental impact. Also, the COP has adopted a number of guidance documents for the implementation of the specific control articles. For example, for Article 8, Article 9, emission releases, the COP1 adopted the backpack guidance on emissions, and then COP4 and COP5 worked on the releases of mercury to water and land, and also the interim storage, contaminated sites, the COP2 and COP3 developed guidance. And in the development of these technical documents, we very much worked closely with the scientific community, including the Global Mercury Partnership. You may recall what Bianca said about the partnership areas. The SGM partnership area led the work on the NAP guidance, and also the coal partnership and also cement partnership contributed to the bottom depth guidance. And I would like to specifically mention the role of science in the effectiveness evaluation. The Minamata Convention provides that the conference of the parties will evaluate the effectiveness of the convention based on scientific, technical, economic knowledge. And the COP has established a specific arrangement to obtain scientific information for the effectiveness evaluation, and established an open-ended scientific group co-chaired by Terry Keating of the US and Dominic Barry of the Cote d'Ivoire. And the group, as stated by other speakers, that the group has been working to produce a report on monitoring data and monitoring emission releases and data analysis. Okay, so my last point is about the mercury science and triple planetary crisis, which is climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And for climate change and biodiversity loss, the Minamata Convention Secretariat and the BRS, Basel Rotterdam Stockholm Convention Secretariat published a joint study on the linkage between the chemicals management and climate change, and also with biodiversity loss. Especially for biodiversity loss, I'd like to mention the COP5 decision on the Mercury and the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, where the Conference of the Parties explicitly proposed to include the indicators on the hazardous chemicals and mercury in the global biodiversity framework. And also for pollution, as mentioned by Linville, there's a discussion on the towards the establishment of the science policy panel on chemicals and pollution. And this would be the COP has requested the secretary to get closely involved in that. So the Minamata Convention Secretariat is happy to contribute to the ICMGP in a number of ways. Firstly, the Monica will be delivering a keynote address, and other staff, including myself, we submitted abstracts, and also we are involved in special sessions and some plenaries. And I'd like to note that we are also convening a back-to-back meeting on mercury emissions releases related to the effectiveness evaluation, which will be held in Cape Town on the 18th and 19th of July, and we will soon post the concept note and a call for participation on to this meeting. So I think I will stop here, and since we only have 5 minutes left, if you have any questions, please put your questions, comments in the chat box, so that we can handle these in the remaining time. And with this, I think I would like to hand over to Joy, if you're
Yes.
ready. So sorry for giving you so little time, but over
No
to you.
problem.
To
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Eisaku, and thank you very much, firstly to Monica and yourself, and especially yourself for organizing this day. And I think just in terms of everything that we've had, we started with Monica, went into Linwell, and then Celia, Bianca, and Rogers, and then yourself. And the way the flow of the session was very well done, because we started with the Minamata and convention, and we ended again with the Minamata convention, and the Mercury conference that we're having in Cape Town. Linwell eloquently stated what we're going to be doing there in terms of the 6 plenaries and the 7 workshops and the special sessions. And what was lovely that came through here was the synthesis papers. I'll get back to that one. But then also what came through in Bianca's session was the Mercury and the oil and gas industry. And for us, there will be a session on the with the SASOL and ESCOM at the conference. So that was very good to see the link coming through. And then also the Mercury biodiversity coming through, which Dave Evers will be doing. And at the conference, there will be a workshop as well as a special session. And then Eisaku, lovely to see also the, I almost want to call it the Mercury Science Planetary Triangle Crisis, which is what you were talking about. And that then also links very closely to what we are, what our the conference slogan is about Minamata with Minamata global Mercury change, from Minamata to from Cape Africa and beyond. Sorry. And so basically the questions, if you're going to be looking at the questions, so maybe just to start with, I know we're limited for time, but so maybe just to start with Celia then. And that was such a lovely transition that Celia brought through from 2010 all the way up to 2023 with the synthesis papers. And I'm almost thinking, Celia, that the next should be in terms of, you know, if we're looking at addition, further synthesis papers, climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. So that triangle that that Eisaku was talking about, and that would link in so very well with the theme, the conference theme in Cape Town. And so any thoughts on that, Celia?
Yeah, thank you, Joy. I think it would be a great focus of some synthesis papers. And it might be the sort of thing where it comes from this meeting and gets presented at the next meeting, you know. I think that it is really where the Minamata Convention is going, and it certainly acknowledges the fact that there's just so many other environmental variables that impact Mercury fate. So yeah, I think maybe we should have some chats about that when we're at the meeting.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So we've got India coming up next. So there's definitely in between Cape Town and India
Yeah.
to look at something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Wonderful. Isaku, I'm not sure if there's any in the chat, unless I can ask Bianca a question quickly. Bianca, okay, so I'll proceed with the question. Bianca and Rogers, probably, what can we do differently to get more countries involved in the Mercury partnerships, especially the the developing countries, and also post-COVID, of course, now, because we've also been seeing that research funding is getting less. So do you have any thoughts on what we could do differently to get more? I know you're going to come to the conference, and so that is wonderful because we have you involved on the Sunday, and we're also going to have you involved with Isaku and Gosha in all of the sessions. So it's so wonderful that you're all going to be present in Cape Town. And so, but any thoughts on how what we can do differently? Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you for the question, Celia. I think I will also do my bit and ask my co-chair Rogers to come in. But what I think would be critical is to ensure that, first of all countries are aware of the Global Mercury partnerships. Maybe we could include a section on the Global Mercury partnerships whenever we have some of these meetings. It could be the project meetings around Minamata. It could also just be the conference of the parties or any other gathering around Mercury that maybe we could engage countries on the work and how the Global Mercury partnership could help in terms of efforts towards reducing the impact of mercury on health and the environment. So I think platforms such as that could be looked at. And then maybe I can also give the floor to my co-chair also to share his experience or his take on the matter.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bianca. Over to Rogers. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to add to the points that Bianca was making, I think the other areas, particularly parties could look at, is that the partnership is definitely a reservoir of technical knowledge and abilities. So in addition to participating on webinars or things for topics of interest, as we move more into the implementation on the convention, it would be good where feasible for parties to look at the roster of people that are involved in the partnership and see where there's a cross-fertilization or opportunity to draw on those partners to help solve specific problems, either at the facility level or through ministerial contacts or other methods.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rogers. And I think that is so key, what both yourself and Bianca were saying, in getting others also involved in the partnership. And I think, Isaku, you are doing an excellent job to basically raise the awareness of mercury and mercury science, and linking it to Article 19 of the Mercury Convention. So definitely at the conference, we look forward to seeing you, because this is just sort of a teaser of what you can also expect at the conference, the discussions that we're going to be having at the conference. And Isaku, I couldn't see whether there were any questions in the chat box. And so please, if there are, please let me know. But otherwise, over then to yourself. Thank you, Isaku, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Joey, for your remarks, which is very closing remark. And please just let me thank all of you, all of the speakers for today's meeting. And also, please just let me respond to some questions from you and also in the chat box. With regard to the linkage between ICMGP partnership and the Minamata Convention, we have been working to enhance these close cooperations, and I know that in many global Mercury partnership areas, all the areas have discuss the involvement and how they can use the opportunity of ICMGP. In the past, I think there are occasions where the partnership meetings back to back with the ICMGP, and also there are sessions very closely related to the partnership areas. For the convention, we are, I think, learning by doing, and this time as I said, we plan a back-to-back meeting on the emissions releases. This is we are trying to enhance the relationship. So I think this is the first time that the Minamata the Convention Secretariats have organized a meeting back to back with ICMGP meetings. So we very much look forward to the Cape Town meeting, and also as stated, the next and the following meeting in India, and we expect that the science policy linkage will evolve with the greater participation of scientists in policy making process, and also the policymakers in the scientific meetings. So with this, I think I would like to close this this session. Thank you very much, and see you in Cape Town. Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Isaku. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Isaku.
Thank you. Ah,